What does probation mean? What do I mean when I use that term? In the ancient Israelite feast system, there was a feast known as the Day of Atonement. You can read about this in Luke 16 and Luke 23, although Luke 16 does talk about it in more detail. Basically, the high priest, he would take off his beautiful high priest robes, put on a plain robe, and go through a round of ceremonies that was basically considered cleansing the temple. So basically the reason that was needed for was every day the priests and the average everyday Israelites, they would bring their sacrifices. They would confess their sins, and their sins were considered transferred from them to the Lamb to the temple. And then cue the Day of Atonement. That happened once a year. During that Day of Atonement, the high priest, he would go into the most holy place for part of his cleansing the temple ceremony. And that was only once a year. Only the high priest could go in, and he had to confess all of his sins, otherwise he would drop dead. Why? Because in the most holy place was the visible presence of God. This is also known as the Shekinah glory. But while the priests were doing all of that work, the rest of Israel was to be in their homes, not working anything, not doing any kind of work, and they were supposed to be searching their hearts, or what the Bible calls afflict your souls. Basically, asking God, do I have any sins that I'm holding on to? Am I cherishing sin? Am I committing sins that I don't know about? And anybody who did not do this, according to Luke 23:29, would be cut off from among his people. In other words, you were kicked out of Israel. Why is that important? We'll get to that in a minute. Daniel 8:14 talks about a time of judgment. Now, I have spoken about this before on this page. It's also on my YouTube channel. Just search 1844 on my YouTube channel or on this page. Here's a graphic showing the breakdown of Daniel 8:14 and Daniel 9. Basically, the short version is that Jesus entered the most holy place of the heavenly temple October 22nd, 1844. This is what we call in my denomination the antitypical Day of Atonement. Basically, it's the prophetic fulfillment of the ancient feast. Because remember, all the ancient feasts fulfilled something that was future to them. And one day, this judgment is going to end. And when it does, that's what we call the close of probation. Revelation 22 speaks of this, that basically when Jesus leaves the most holy place, all humanity will have made a decision for or against him. They are then lost for eternity or saved for eternity. That's why this scripture says, he who's filthy, let him stay that way. He who is righteous, let him stay that way. Now, the Bible does not tell us when the probation will close. But Hebrews 4 shows us, with Jesus on our side, we have nothing to fear.